Hi, Rachel DeMille here. Let's talk about our Cresting forms. We recently created a new form to help you when it's time for you to up your game in a particular subject, because either you're just feeling like the interest is starting to peak for your children, or you're seeing perhaps there's a deficit that you've not given due attention to a particular subject, and you just want to increase the inspiration level, the depth of preparation and so forth, so that your family can begin to explore that subject area with more effectiveness and with more curiosity, with more interest, and with more commitment. Now, as always in TJ Ed, we start with the leader in leadership education. That's me, that's you. That's where we lead out. We show the value on that subject by our commitment, by our level of interest. We model what it looks like to take part of it. We increase our depth as a mentor with our exposure to and our interest in and our affinity for the resources, the ideals, the concepts in that subject area. So when we realize that we are in a situation where we want to up our game and when it's time to do some cresting in a particular subject, that's where this form comes in. At the very top of the first page, it has topic, and you can write down your topic. So let's say your topic is math, and you want to up your game in math. So you get out your cresting form, and the very first field on there says topic, and you write in there math, and then there's the cute little cresting icon and the TJ Ed logo, and directly below that, the first thing on your left is books for me. Now this is where we start. This, before we do anything with the kids, give them assignments, buy new curriculum, whatever, you start with books for me. Now in math, I've provided another list that shows what your books for you can be. Things like The Secrets of Mental Math by Arthur Benjamin. Great fun book. It kind of whets your appetite and it empowers you to do things mathematically that maybe you thought were beyond because you're math phobic or you're not good at math or it doesn't come natural to you, whatever. That book kind of gets you over that hurdle and you can see math in a new light. So this is the place where you write down, I'm going to up my game in math by reading these 5 books. And you list those books right there. Now, as you start to get into it, as your excitement about math, or obviously whatever other subject it may be, as your excitement for that increases, then you're ready to move on to other things on this page. We'll do these kind of in order of how they appear from top to bottom, but you might find a different order makes sense for you. For example, for some families who are really into read alouds and that's their happy place, then read alouds might be your very next best choice. However, some people, their family is just sort of finding their footing with read alouds, and so games might be their next best choice, or video might be their next best choice. So in any case, again, with math, let's talk about read alouds. Mathematicians are people too. Great place to start for read alouds. There's lots of children's storybooks about math, the Circumference series, the Lilac Moore's books about Math Magic Land. There's some wonderful, wonderful read alouds that really feature math very strongly. There's some others that are less math forward, but still have, like, for example, Carry On, Mr. Bowditch. What a great read. The Phantom Toll Booth. Both of these feature the value of math and show it as part of the story, sort of subliminally, intrinsically. Great read alouds to include on your math read aloud list. Games. This can be where you have things that, like Yahtzee or cribbage or dominoes, where math is just a part of it. For some, it's just very, very simple, like match games or memory games. Those are also kind of mathy. Under heroes, who are heroes that were part of the whole math development, who used math to make a difference. These heroes are very well featured in the book I mentioned previously, Mathematicians Are People Too. But you can write down who are your heroes, or do some basic Google search. Who are some great luminaries in math across the ages? And go on an exploration, go on a hunt, go on a rabbit trail, and discover who are these people. Why do people say that they're great math heroes? What did they do to make a difference? And get into their lives. Find out what it was about their mathiness that made a difference. Or how did they become mathy? Were they always mathy? Did they discover mathiness late in life? That's, both things have happened in the lives of great mathematicians. Below that, we have video. This can be like, for example, there's a YouTube channel by Vi Hart that I just love her stuff. It's really quirky and fun. Probably more interest level of older kids, youth, and adults. There's tons of, like, also on YouTube, there's the Disney math special, Donald in Math Magic Land. So cute and way mathy. Also on your form here is closet. Now this refers to the phases of learning book where in one of the ingredients we talk about the closet. And the closet is where you keep things kind of under special care. They're not part of the kid's toy box. They're not part of the free range grab and go. These are things that either you want supervision for them, or they're kind of high value, so you don't want them to be misused, or they can be devastatingly messy. For whatever reason, you have determined there are certain things that go in the closet, and these things have kind of an elevated value when they come out. It's like, ooh, we got something special coming out of the closet. What kinds of things can you put in the closet for mathiness? You could do math rods, those Cuisinart math rods, or Miquelon, whatever they call them. Those are really cool. Those are really fun to work with. You don't necessarily want those to be incorporated into the Lego tote, but so you want to keep them in your closet. But there's some great stuff you can do with that. Lots of things like that can go in your closet. And there's lots of things that are already, part of your toy rotation, if you will, that don't necessarily have to be in your closet, but are really great math-wise, like Legos, like Lincoln Logs, anything that's requires strategy, that requires construction, that requires understanding the laws of physics of how it's going to work. Those are awesome math tools when you play with them. Now, below this, at the bottom of the page, there's a section that goes the width of the page, and it says near me. Now, this one is maybe not as self-explanatory as some. This is where I would suggest you brainstorm. What do you have in your area around where you live, in your physical environment, that can up your math game, that can increase the interest, the relevance of math in your life? Is there a university where they have a special hands-on museum for kids? Is there a construction project where you can go and see how the girders and beams are being attached and what kinds of tools went in to do it, where you can ponder what kind of strength would that thing have to have? How come it's not tipping over? You can really consider the mathiness of that project. Is there somebody who wrote a book about math? Is there somebody who uses math in their profession? Just brainstorm what is near you that you can give a real personal experience to your family by attending that thing, by talking with that person, by going and observing or experiencing that. And you can write down those ideas right here in this near me section. Now, after that, there's a place where you write down skills. Now, these are things that you can brainstorm. What skills are there that I would want to personally master and model for my kids, and ultimately have them have on their list of goals? For example, do you know what prime factors are? Do you know how to factor? Do you know what the square root is? Do you know how to find a square root? Do you know your times tables? Do you know how to plot points on a XYZ axis? Do you know how to solve a quadratic equation? Do you know? These are skills that are mathy. Now, there are lists of skills that are out there, and this one you want to kind of have as a long view. This page should not supersede in Core and Love of Learning the stuff that's happening on the first page. This is a long view so that over time you say, oh, you know what? This would be a perfect time to introduce algebraic equations, because we're already working with this and that kind of bring in these ideas. So let's talk about algebraic equations with the kids. Or this would be a great time to get out our graph notebook and create a bar graph or a pie graph or whatever to kind of demonstrate what we're seeing in this project that we're working on. So this is a place where maybe looking online, or what kind of skills are there that are considered basic as a foundational knowledge for this subject area. Now, there's a book that I have, and I'll show you an image of it. It's the Math Yellow Pages, and I think it's so clever the way it's got everything all in one place. I really quite like it. Again, I don't use it as a textbook. I use it as a resource more for me, just to keep fresh in my mind, oh, we can totally do that right now. It just prompts me for a next idea, or shows me, oh, you know what, I'm kind of rusty on that. I'm going to work on that. And as I do that during my math cresting time, this isn't, trying to fit in every day of every week. I'm not trying to recreate public school in my home. But as I incorporate those ideas into my math cresting season, it really, like I said, ups my game. Let's move on to the next page. Now we have kids' reading list. Now this can be things like I talked about before. Some of these are great for read alouds, but things like Brandon Sanderson's The Rhythmatist, such a good mathy read. And I've provided elsewhere a more expansive list on readings for math specifically, since we're talking about math right now. But here's where you would kind of brainstorm, pick other people's brains, figure out what things would you like to have on your kids' reading list, so that when they say, hey, I'm looking for a new book, and you're in a kind of a math season, here's some things that you can suggest. Over to family projects. Do you want to use math in a cooking project? Do you want to design and build a tree house? Do you want to plot a budget for a family vacation? These are ways that you can incorporate mathiness into family projects. Now below that is adult classics. And again, I've provided elsewhere a list of math adult classics, but here's where you can go and talk to other people, look at lists online, go to our discussion group and say, hey, what would be good classics for me to read to crest in this particular subject, whatever it is you're working on right now. Now at the bottom of this page, it has a section for notes where you can just keep track of whatever you want with that. Do you want to make a note of, well, I did this kind of project with all of the kids except these two were too young for it. So later on you can come back to this and say, oh, it might be a good time to recreate that. And then, so those two get that experience. You can use that notes section for whatever is meaningful for you. The final page here is vocabulary. Now this one is especially powerful because it's so sneaky. And this is where you go and you kind of research what is vocabulary that is important for an understanding of this subject, and also words that are commonly incorporated into regular speech that we don't think of as necessarily being technical language, but actually does have a technical meaning. As we kind of delve into the technical meaning of these very common words, it kind of expands our understanding of what we're actually already saying. And it expands our mathy brain into thinking more mathematically as we are more cognizant of the technical meanings, and as we make a more conscious effort to include those types of words like compare, contrast, subset, scale, equivalent, and so forth. As you use math-like words in your everyday life, you can actually pause and say, we use this word commonly. Do you know what it actually means when professionals use it in this context? And they can kind of brainstorm what it is, and it increases their mathiness. And the more we use math type terms when we're math cresting, it increases our math quotient, if you will, in our family's, mindset, and the things that we see and the things that we notice, the things that we observe, the things that we talk about. And then again, at the bottom of that page, there's another section for notes that you can use however works for you. So this is just a general idea of how to use this. Now it's kind of off the cuff. It's something I just created on my computer without a grand design. So if you find ways to use this as a leaping off point and create your own, totally do whatever works for you. This is just an idea of how to use cresting to improve your family's approach to whatever subject matter you want to increase in. I hope this is helpful to you. I'd love your feedback on it, and good luck with that.